And we are live. I switched up the beginning music a little bit in honor of special guest on this Monday, both Zeppelin fans, and I think we both have experienced on our own Levin's. We say that that's accurate.
Absolutely. And Zeppelin forever, baby.
Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming back.
What's happening, Sky? Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
And we have Ray Cooper in the chat. Thanks for being here, Ray. He's looking forward to the conversation. A lot of it, because you gave us like 3.5 hours last time, or just things where I kept my mouth shut. And I wanted to ask, but I was like, I can't fit in everything that's on my mind. So some of it's going to just be things that I was thinking about talking about last time, and how like-minded people can still have like a conversation about things that we might not see completely eye to eye on, or maybe we do and we just haven't voiced it all correctly. And here is
Sure.
Pia for the animals. Let me throw a banner up because once again we are supporting Sasha Farms, and this is the direct link to their donation page. How are things going over there at Sasha Farms anyway?
Actually, the things are fantastic. All the podcasts have been great. Donations are coming in. And I was there a couple days ago for the vegan chili cook-off. They had a
Hmm,
great day and raised $7,500. And it was
fantastic.
so nice to be back at Sasha because I had not been there since earlier this year. And by the way, the 3.5 hour show we did last time, from what I hear, because I wasn't fortunate enough to ever see Zeppelin in concert, I hear that was a Led Zeppelin concert length, 3.5 hours back in the day.
Oh, you didn't get to see him either? Yeah.
Man, it's you know what? I wasn't old enough at that time to go out and see them. I do regret. Although I saw Page and Plant. Remember
Hmm.
when they went on tour for a little while and they had the Indian theme? I saw them at in Detroit when they came. It was fantastic, but I'm not counting it as a true Led Zeppelin show.
No. I saw Plant at the Greek Theater, and he was sort of doing like a country theme, and I was honestly a little bit disappointed. It was he wasn't very rock and
Was
rollish.
that when he was hanging out with Alison Krauss and doing stuff, the bluegrass stuff? Or was
Could
that
have been.
something different too?
This was like 2012.
Okay, it could have been that stuff he was doing. Yeah, I wasn't digging that stuff either.
Ray Cooper rubs in that he saw Led Zeppelin twice in 1975. Good for you, sir.
No way! No, very jealous, very jealous. I was only 5 years old back then.
So I'm going to use
I
Led.
think the earliest concert I went to, I was 8. I want to say my dad took me to a Kiss concert when I was 8.
Really,
Yeah,
was that frightening at all?
no, but it obviously was when they were still wearing makeup, so it was totally cool.
Okay, all right. I saw them on TV when I was maybe 4, and I don't know. I think might have been a little bit scared. Uh, so I'm going to use the rock and roll music as our warm up conversation because I got the impression from hearing you last time that you were pretty social. I think you called yourself the life of the party, or you liked getting into
Yes.
things.
I,
Yeah.
I was definitely the life of the party. I don't want to reiterate or reuse a joke, but I always had the weed. I started smoking weed when I was 12, so I always brought a bag of weed with me to the party. And I was in a rock and roll band. I started playing guitar when I was 13 years old. I was in a couple of bands, and we did play at many of the house parties that we had going on back Berkeley High School days. Yeah, some
Fantastic.
good stuff.
Wow.
And of course, I played tons of Zeppelin. Zeppelin was my favorite stuff to play. But I also loved playing Boston songs. They had the
Mm.
best harmonies. I played a lot of Aerosmith. Definitely rock and roll stuff, though.
I did not bring bags of weed to parties, but I did throw parties. And I, you kind of disappeared for a while, and your own levee broke, and my levee broke, and Isn't it interesting to have almost two personalities where you like human beings enough to where you want to socialize with them? I like socializing enough to where I threw parties, and at the same time, I'm kind of disgusted by my own species. Can you be both at the same time?
Yes, obviously I am, you are. You know what? I have a limit with my social time. And nowadays it's about 2 hours, and that's what I get at the gym every day. I like seeing all my gym friends. I walk around and say hi, we shoot the shit. But after a couple hours and I'm done working out, I don't want to see anybody for the rest of the day. Just Carmen, just me and Carmen hanging out, but that is it. So there is definitely a limit. How about you?
Yeah.
Same thing?
Yeah, it's reduced. And sometimes I miss the old days and I fantasize that I would like to host parties again. And then I go and am with people for a while. And like you just said, I'm ready to go. I'm
Yeah.
ready. We're very noisy.
You know, I have a lot of friends that call and want to hang out, and I'm usually always turning them down. And I always say, don't take it personally, but I'd rather just stay at home. I'm more comfortable here. I love my sanctuary and I like being here. So, yeah, you know what? I'm 55. I don't want to hang out at house parties anymore. It's just not my thing. I will go out to
Could
dinner or brunch with some folks once in a while. But again, there's a limit. It's a couple hours and then it's time to go. In fact, I have a limit for being outside. I don't like leaving the house for more than 3.5 hours. At that point, I start getting cranky. I'm like, I got to go back home. I got to get back to home base.
I can't hold still very well, so the idea of going out to eat with people is at the bottom of my list of social activities. Um, a Jack Tree Spirit Project, my Tuesday co-host, says you can love individual people and hate humanity. George Carlin, of course, spoke about this.
Jack
And
nailed it. That's it too. That's classic. That's perfect.
National Parks Princess is back with us, agreeing with Jack. It could you get everything that you need from wildlife or from the trees or from forests if, in fact, you chose to leave society entirely?
So I want to live out in the woods in the wilderness. Honestly, I do.
You can't take your wife or girlfriend.
Oh, wait a
That'd be,
second. Carmen,
that'd
Carmen's
be a
got to
cop
come
out.
with me. But
That'd be
it's
a
not
cop out,
only
wouldn't it?
Carmen that I'm gonna miss. There are some amenities that I have to have. I have to have my gym. I need my LA Fitness. I need my Trader Joe's and my natural food patch. I need the grocery stores. But if I could have just access to the groceries and the gym, then go to the woods for the rest of the day and not see anybody, yeah, that would be great. So I guess it's not a true out into the wilderness,
Well, you can find
expedition
various
for me.
sizes of logs. You could replace your weight training, couldn't you? Or is it the
I could
people at the gym?
I could come up I could come up with a jailhouse woods workout. Yeah, definitely. But how Trader Joe's, I need I need a grocery.
Isn't that unfortunate? I mean, in a way that we need the
Although,
grocery.
wait a
I'd like
second,
to fantasize that we don't.
I'm more frugivore these days than anything. Could I have fruit trees? Is there be a banana tree, a peach tree, and a mango tree? Then I might be all set.
You have to go to a forest that naturally produces those. There's the deal.
Okay, you know what? Nix everything I just said. If I could have a fruit patch, yes, yes, I could
Agree.
do it.
So you keep saying, you keep talking about the gym in a positive manner, and I actually have here as a possible topic. I switched curls for girls to curls for meat eaters. How much of your weight training is to feel good and you like being strong versus just being able to avoid the first stage of, oh, well, you look like a fucking vegan. The first stage of
Oh
the
man,
argument. Just
you know what? It's a little of both. It's a lot of the first though. I want to be strong, want to be healthy, but I gotta tell you, over the years, especially when I started lecturing, I hit the gym extra hard because I had to present this image for the superficial world that we live in.
Hmm.
And after nearly every lecture, guys would come up to me and say, "Man, I didn't know vegans could be that big. You look really good, man." And I would say, "Listen, I'm in the gym every day. It doesn't matter even what you eat. If you're going to work out every day, as long as you're putting calories in your body, you're going to look big. Stop thinking that a vegan is small." And by the way, there were some times too where I took off my shirt, I think 2 or 3 times in front of a class, because some guys challenged me about how vegans look weak or sick. And I took my shirt
Hmm.
off and I flexed and I said, "What do you got? Come on, take your shirt
Yeah.
off." And everybody started
Yeah.
laughing except the guy I was calling out. And both times, they refused to take their shirts off because I was bigger than that. Like, what are you guys talking about? But it worked. It got the crowd more interested. Again, we live in a superficial world. So I had to maintain a certain appearance just so people would listen more.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty good reason. I mean, you clearly got over a couple of hurdles right there.
Yeah.
People that believe you gotta have the meat. When I went vegan, I got back to as good a shape as I'd ever been in my life, partially to prove it to myself and to prove to others. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you had to take all these supplements to do that, right?" And I'm thinking, actually, I took more supplements when I was a meat eater. And I mean, there's this thing like people think it's almost portrayed as though only vegans take supplements and meat eaters don't. And you know what I mean?
Right. I used to tell the audience too about supplements or vitamins, like whatever it was. I said, "Wait a second. Do we live in a vegan world?" They'd say no. So, well, how come there's a drugstore on every street corner in America? What are you talking about? How come when I go to my mom's house, open up her cabinet, there's 25 bottles of vitamins and pills there, 1 a day tablets, Flintstone vitamins, all this. Like, you guys are taking calcium supplements.
Right.
What are you
Right.
talking about and blaming us when you guys are taking all the pills in the world? That's
Right.
something else that kind of just hit me too, as these meat, dairy, and egg eaters, these corpse munchers are screaming about crop deaths or bees and avocado farms. It just hit me when I was at Sasha Farm that 2% of the world is vegan. 2%. How in the world could how could we be responsible for anything that's going on? We represent 2%. All the problems they're screaming about, the meat, dairy, and egg eaters are causing, and then they want to blame us because an avocado happens to be a fruit, and vegans eat fruit, so all of a sudden it's our fault. I found out that
Yeah.
Chipotle has brings in 135 million pounds of avocados a year. How many
Mm.
vegans are dining at Chipotle? Get out of it. This is a
Hmm.
meat, dairy, and egg eating establishment. I know they got a vegan option, but please, this Chipotle exists for meat eaters.
This is true. This is true.
Uh,
Uh, I'll acknowledge a couple more comments. Corinne says that she knew a man who attempted to live outside civilization, and he did it better than anyone, but he died from a strange bacterial infection that was in the pond he used for bathing. Well, it's
uh,
we're not a tough species, but good for him for trying. Corinne says, responds, my daughter's mother-in-law died from Legionella that were probably in the water. Okay. Anyway,
Legionnaire's disease?
yeah, I
Is that what that
fantasize
is?
about that's. I don't know. That's not what it says, but I don't know what it meant. Um, Let me put Sasha Farms' banner back up there.
There was
We're
that
gonna.
one guy that died in
Here's
the
my.
wilderness too. Who was the guy that went out and lived with the bears and then the bears attacked him and ate him or something? Wasn't
Oh,
there a
Grizzly
special
Man,
about that
but
guy?
he did it successfully for a very long time, and
Right.
then it was his girlfriend's fault. His girlfriend came to visit, and then all hell broke loose. I don't know if it was her fault, but that's when it finally didn't work out. It's what it could be. It could have been implied that he was accepted, but maybe she wasn't, or he pushed the boundary, or no one actually knows what went wrong when it went wrong. But it went wrong, real wrong.
Yeah. Hey, but to be accepted by a group of bears, man, for that long, that's pretty special.
I agree. I mean, that guy lived in ways that other people haven't, even if he died. And it bothers me. I've actually used him as an example because I started with sharks. And sharks actually are mind blowing in their tolerance of stupid human behavior. And an example of an animal that could dispatch us at any time and chooses not to. And a lot of people, like myself, like to spend time in the water with sharks. And you have these people from their couches saying, "Oh, this is stupid," and something's going to go wrong at some point. But it's such a defeatist argument because something's going to go wrong with anything if you do it enough times. You're going to step off your porch incorrectly one day, and what I get to say, "Ha ha, I predicted that." At some point, you got to give animals credit, like the grizzly bears, tolerating. I don't know. I mean, maybe in a perfect world, we don't interfere with wildlife at all, but we're a long way from that.
Listen, I have a dream about swimming with sharks, and I used to have a healthy fear of them, like a lot of people. And I was in Hawaii in 2017 or 18, and we went kayaking about a mile out into the Pacific, and then we snorkeled. And I didn't really want to jump in; I was afraid. I finally jumped in, and it was the only time I experienced oneness. And as soon as I dove in, belly first, I instantly thought in my mind, I hope I get to see a shark. Oh my God, I want to see a shark so badly. And I regret that I never got to see a shark that day, but maybe one day I'll get to go back into the ocean and swim with some sharks. It's funny you bring it up because I'm fascinated with this. I actually watch a lot of videos of people interacting with sharks. There's one with those three women who are free diving with tiger sharks, and they're swimming right next to them. As we probably know, and if we don't, we should know, as great as a movie Jaws was, Spielberg, it was horrible for sharks. It portrayed them as these vicious killers. And the only true vicious killers on this planet walk upright, two legs, human beings. Sharks, what, attack 10, 12, 15 people a year, or kill 10 or 15. We kill 100 million of sharks every single year for
Yep,
shark fin soup. And every time a shark attacks us, all of a sudden we got to go out and find the shark and kill the shark.
exactly.
I thought it was survival of the fittest, except when humans are the victims. We're
That
such hypocrites too. Violent hypocrites is what we are. Actually,
you're
one student, I never get to tell this story. I was at East Carolina University, and there was an older gentleman. He was in his 60s, a former Marine. And during Q&A, he said, "Gary, I actually agree with everything you say. I can't come up with one argument. What makes you think we care? We're just a bunch of violent monkeys."
hmm,
And it was heartbreaking. I mean,
yeah.
he wasn't starting a fight with me in any way. He was serious. He goes, "What makes you think we care? We're a bunch of violent monkeys." And I'll never forget that moment, but that's what we are. But man, sharks, so cool, such cool creatures. And
I tell
petting
you, we've
sharks,
got it.
if people go on to YouTube and like enter petting sharks, it's amazing what's going on with some divers and scuba divers. They're petting sharks. They're rubbing their bellies. Who doesn't like a belly rub? Sharks like them too. It's
We have a
amazing.
production. We have a production sitting right in front of us to pursue. I turned vegan when I realized that my promotion of shark conservation was hypocritical while I was participating in the death of the planet. And here I could take you out for your first positive experience with sharks, and we could do it with the only other vegan shark advocates that I know who may have been who you were describing, and they're in Hawaii, Juan and Ocean Ramsey. They don't publicize that they're
Yes.
vegan, but that they are. And you can tell because their approach is different than other people in the shark world. They actually seem to acknowledge what the shark's experiencing, what the shark might be thinking, pain, suffering, things like this that you don't hear other people really talk about.
That's fascinating. Now, wait a sec. Are you offering to take me to go see sharks and hang out with Ocean Ramsey?
I'm
I'm
offering
down. I'm in. Count me in. I'm serious.
I'm offering
I'm
for
getting
us to
excited
come
thinking
up with
about it.
a fundraising campaign because I don't have it to, but it would be something to pursue if we can figure out how to make it happen.
Yes.
Jack says author Peter Benchley came to regret writing this. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Feeling his portrayal of the shark as monstrous villain. Yeah, here's the thing: we humans want to call ourselves intelligent and everything, and yet all of a sudden we can't differentiate Hollywood from reality. Listen, the reason, as you said, it was a good movie. Part of it, the goal was to scare people. It wasn't meant to be a documentary. And if the most intelligent species on the planet, or at least the self-declared most intelligent species on the planet, is going to just slaughter a species because Hollywood used it as a character, my God, how many horror films are there about human beings? We should have slaughtered ourselves a long time ago.
I'm down for that.
Hey, how did you? I remember you saying that you threatened to drown the guy who was drowning skunks. And I was like, I'm not sure. How do you get away with a threat like that nowadays? At least under this administration, I'm pretty sure you're going to be labeled as a domestic terrorist in
It's
jail.
amazing, man. It's amazing the things that I have gotten away with. I've made hundreds of threats to people. I've threatened police officers. I don't know why I get away with the things I get away with, but I do. And it was genuine. It was real. The guy knew he was wrong. Maybe that's why he didn't call the police, or he didn't freak out beyond like, wait a second, okay, hold up. What if I just let you release them after I catch them? He wanted to negotiate. It was my negotiating tactic, and it worked. I said, if I find out you do this again, I'm going to shove your head in that bucket, and I'm going to drown you. Uh, I, I, this is, I don't know if I told you guys the story, but when I was in California during my last year of lecturing, 2014, I had a kid hanging over the second floor balcony. He was starting with me. I said, I'm gonna treat you like an animal. I'm gonna treat you like a cow. I'm gonna show you what chickens go through, and I'm gonna throw you off this balcony. And the only reason that it never happened, with my hands around his throat, Erica was grabbing me. Gary, don't throw him over the balcony. I'm like, I'm gonna throw you over the balcony. I'm gonna show you what chickens go through. And then when I let him go, he just ran away. And the funny thing was, it was on a second floor. I had to go tell the professor what happened. And I went back. I said, "Hey, Alan, remember that guy that started up during Q&A with the Bible, and then I threw the Bible at him and just missed his head?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, he was posturing me in the hallway, and I grabbed him by the throat and had him hanging over the balcony. He said I was going to throw him off the balcony." And the professor says to me, "Gary, man, you got to stop doing lectures on the second floor." A great punchline. So the reason I don't think anything happened with that either. The professor said that guy is such a jerk, and I'm the professor. I can't say anything to him. I can't do those things. Thank you for saying that and doing that to him. So the
Wow,
professor wasn't going to turn me in, and I think the kid was so embarrassed that the weak, sickly vegan was going to throw him off the balcony. He didn't want to say anything, but it's one of the funniest moments that I had during my lecture tour.
interesting. Some people were kind enough to give us clarification on Timothy Treadwell, the Grizzly Man. So,
Oh,
Tree Spirit Project and a few others chimed in that it was his fault. He stayed too late in the season, showing off to his girlfriend. But 18 seasons without incident. I mean, we're not going to credit the guy for 18 seasons without incident?
wait, he was there for 18 years before that happened?
Apparently,
Wow. Okay.
unless
Well, then
Jack Gescheit is
it was
giving
one
us
of
bad
those weird
information.
things. Yeah.
He did some great things. Oh, 13 summers, not 18. Okay.
Okay. Still a
Um,
long time.
yeah, it is. National Parks Princess says he wasn't accepted, though. He pushed the limits with the bears. He then decided to stay longer than he normally did, and a sick and emaciated bear ended up attacking them. He kept food in his tent, too. Oh, come on, dude. Really? Oh.
Hey, ask your viewers to find out what was the movie with Anthony Hopkins when he was a primatologist and he went and
Oh,
studied.
Instinct. Instinct.
Instinct was
It
one of
was
the
so good.
greatest movies
It's,
ever, saddest and greatest
oh,
movies. when he's talking about how they accepted him in the circle, all of a sudden he didn't realize, but he was in the circle and they accepted him. What a great movie, man. I recommend that for everybody to watch. In fact, some professors would ask me if there was a movie they could recommend to their students before I came. Instinct was the movie that I always recommended.
It was
Such a
good.
good story, especially when he talked about the primates at the zoo. And when he opened up the cage, he was with Cuba Gooding, and he said, "Don't worry, where's he gonna run? There's just gonna be another fence and another cage and another fence. He's got nowhere to go. We broke his soul. We broke his spirit."
Yeah,
So sad
he
but
looks.
true.
He says, "Look in his eyes. He's gone."
He's a
And
prisoner. That's what
Cuba's
happens.
asking Cuba's asking him, "Wasn't there any violence when you were, living with the gorillas?" And he said, "Yes, when humans came."
And not more violence in the cities. Are you kidding me? It's amazing. We always blame animals for being violent. Again, we're the most violent species on the planet. We always seem to exclude ourselves from all the condemnations that we're always hurling at the animal kingdom. And we're way worse than the animal kingdom.
Yeah, we always have an excuse for it. So I have a couple of people that are excited about the shark thing. Maybe we'll do a right before COVID hit. I was organizing a vegan menu trip to see the great white sharks down in Guadalupe, and then COVID hit and it all fell apart. And then they've canceled white shark ecotourism down there since. But we could do Hawaii instead. It's not white sharks, but we could give it a shot. We could organize a vegan
Be
shark diving
fantastic.
outing.
I'll give you another interesting story about sharks. So my buddy Paul Shatirkian, I used to work with him when I was PETA's official lecturer in 2002. He was the head audio video guy. After he left PETA, he got a job with NOAA, the National Oceanic Administration. And his job used to be going to parts of the ocean where no one had ever been before to film it. So he'd send me some really cool videos over the years. And one time he was down there, a wild seal comes up to him, grabs his arm, and he sends me this video. It's only 17 seconds. The seal came up. Paul was positive that the seal was grabbing his arm as if to say, this suit that you're wearing, this scuba suit, that's not your real skin. And he was checking him out and holding him, and you can see Paul reach out and rub his belly. So one of the cutest videos ever. Later on, a couple years later, he sends me a video. He said, "Gary, I had a healthy fear of sharks too, even though I work for NOAA and I go down in the ocean. And we were in cages one time, and there was a great white shark. So I
Hmm.
decided I was going to confront my fear once and for all." He gets out of the cage. The shark comes so close to him, the dorsal fin touches him. You can see though the shark is completely unaggressive, non-aggressive in every way. But I asked him when he's after he sent me the video, I said, "How come you didn't reach out and rub the shark's belly?" He said, "Well, because I had one hand on the camera and the other hand was over my ass holding the shit in." But this was this great, beautiful moment. Again, sharks get such a bad rap. Wow, he got the fin of the shark touches him, brushes him. This beautiful, 25 foot creature comes by. There's nothing more magical than a wild animal coming up to you. If you can be in that moment and be so lucky, it's got to be just the best feeling in the world. I mean, even if I
It
get a
is.
squirrel to come up and take a
I know.
walnut out of my hand, it's like, oh my
I know.
god, the squirrel came up, he took the walnut right from my hand.
And it's actually very controversial. I spent some time kind of defending these people because, like you said, if you have the rare opportunity for something that special to happen and you're in that moment and the shark or whatever wild animal wants to interact with you or is going to allow the interaction. Again, these people on their couches at home that will never have that sort of an opportunity or ever put themselves in that sort of situation are shouting, "Oh, you're disrespecting the animals by touching them or whatever." And these are the same people that have those animals on the plate right in front of them, or eating something that caused those animals to die through bycatch or a byproduct or destroyed their habitat, etc. So it's just amazing how human beings all of a sudden come up with their respect level. Like, oh, don't touch that wild animal. Anyway,
We're walking contradictions. We're full of them. We're hypocrites to the greatest degree. Yeah, people would get mad at as somebody swimming with a shark. And by the way, the shark can leave whenever the shark wants. The shark comes up, wants to swim with you, check you out. They'd be upset with that, but they can have a refrigerator full of carcasses.
right,
Right. They,
right.
they can go to the circus or the rodeo or the zoo. Let's go to the animal prison and watch the animals in an unnatural environment in a cage. Let's put them on display. It's outrageous, outrageous the things that we come up with. And then they want to claim that zoos are educational places. You know
You're
what
right.
kids learn at the zoo? The zebras are black and white, giraffes have long necks, and the monkeys have pink butts. How is this educational in any way, shape, or form? Watching a documentary on animals living in their own habitat would be educational. And I'm hoping one day too we're going to have virtual zoos, and maybe the zoo industry will finally fall by the wayside, because that's what needs to happen for sure.
There's a dark excuse for the continuation of zoos once you get past the education bullshit, because all you're seeing is what a wild animal looks like when it's imprisoned, which that's not education. It should depress kids, and I remember it depressed me. Um, I don't know if that happens to that many people, but there's only so much you can gain from looking at a variety of colors and shapes behind walls and bars. But the next step to that is, oh well, we're going to keep them in existence. They're going extinct in the wild, and thanks to zoos, they won't be extinct. I'm like, to what end? For what purpose? Like, you have removed why that animal exists on this planet and replaced it with humans can come and look at it somewhere. You haven't done anything good.
How about the fact that even if that were okay, and it might be in some situations, 99% of animals at the zoo are unendangered. How does that cover the rest of the animals there if you're trying to save the pinta tortoise or one of the animals that have gone extinct or that they are on the brink of extinction? The rest, all it is a show. It's a money making operation, put animals on display. And if they really cared about animals too, seems like a perfect place for vegan food to be. Why are they selling dead animals in the refreshment areas at the zoo if
Mm,
they cared so much about the
right,
animals?
right.
I bring this up because I don't know if I said on your last show, did I tell you about the Ron Kagan stories I had at the Detroit Zoo?
I don't remember that.
Real
Jack's
quickly,
listening; he'll
so
remember.
back in the 90s, you remember the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile? It's probably still in existence. This monstrosity of a car shaped like a hot dog. Well, we were as a movement, we were really attacking them every time they went from city to city, trying to lie to kids about eating pig flesh. So Oscar Mayer got a little wiser and started to hide behind the auspices of zoos and started getting zoos to let them go on private property so we could
Mm,
no longer protest. Well, I had been hearing rumors in the 90s that Ron Kagan, the Detroit Zoo director, was a pretty good guy when it came to animal rights issues. He hated hunting and vivisection, was not fond of circuses and rodeos. And when I heard this happen, I barged into the Detroit Zoo offices located on 10 Mile and Woodward Avenue, actually in Royal Oak, not in Detroit. And back in the 90s, if you followed the news, you knew who I was. As soon as I barge in, the woman up front said, Mr. Jurovsky, we didn't do anything wrong. What's up? And I said, you bring Ron Kagan's ass out here and bring him out here right now. Wait, Gary, we didn't do anything. Bring him out here right now. I see people in their offices peering out, scared, like, oh my God, what's going on? Ron walks out a couple minutes later, And he says, Gary, wait a second. I love my animals. I didn't do anything wrong. And I usually don't let people talk when I'm in this state that I was in. I was furious. And I let him go on for about 2 minutes about how much he loved animals.
Mhm.
And when he finished, I said, Ron, you talk about how much you love animals and you're letting Oscar Mayer come here and sling pig flesh. And he looks at me, turns around, and walks away. Now, I'm thinking to myself, oh man, I didn't want to get arrested today. Is he calling the police? Is he getting security? He comes back in about 2 minutes. To my surprise, he says, Gary, you're right. I got my people on the phone right now with Oscar Mayer and we're canceling. It's not going to
Good
happen.
for you.
No, but I'm always shocked when people actually listen to me like that because I'm right, but most people don't want to listen to the truth.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I was ready for a fight, though, Sky. You got to understand, I'm in fighting mode. And he said, "You're right, Gary." And I said, "Okay, you're damn right. I'm right. All right then." I didn't know what else to say. And then he says, "Why don't you come back to my office? I've actually wanted to talk to you for a while. I always see you on the news." So I went back to his office and we proceeded to talk about the circuses. Now that was something that was near and dear to me because that's how I got started. My stepdad's a clown in the Shrine Circus. So I asked him, this is when I thought the media was really valuable. I said, Ron, I got a bunch of interviews coming up. Why don't you come on these shows with me? Because I think it would help people understand that circuses are a slave show if I can get the Detroit Zoo director to join me
Hmm.
and condemn them. And he says, oh, Gary, this is a political appointed position. I might lose my job. I can't do things like that. And I said, you know what, Ron? Everybody in power wields their power in a negative way.
Hmm.
Be nice if somebody wielded their power in a positive way, but do whatever you want to do. For the second time in about 15 minutes now, I'm shocked. He says, okay, you're right. I'll do it. I said, excuse me? He said, I'll do it. Set it up. And I set up a bunch of interviews with me and Ron. And wouldn't you know it, from there on out, every time I was being interviewed and I talked about circuses, just like I thought, everybody believed me now. Oh, yeah, Ron Kagan's opposed to circuses too. You're right on that. But I don't know, Gary, about this whole vegan stuff. So they questioned me on everything else that Ron did say was bad, which shows you how superficial our society is. Just because the zoo director said that what I was saying was true, now everybody believes me. But then let's say the funniest thing, the weirdest thing happened. He asked me to come walk around the zoo with him and see the animals, how happy they were. And I said, Ron, it's not a good idea. I like the progress we made today. It's not going to turn out
Hmm.
good. Don't have me walk around the zoo. And he begged me, and I said, okay. So I walk around, and this is, by the way, where I came up with the line I just used before about the monkeys having pink butts and the giraffes having long necks, because I saw kids in front of the monkey enclosure, the monkey cage, laughing at the monkeys and their pink butts. And I looked at Ron. I said, okay, I have to go right now before something bad is going to happen. I'll see you next week when when Channel 2 is calling us for that interview with the circus. But Ron ended up being a really cool guy, I have to say, over the years. If there was a cool warden of an animal prison, it was Ron Kagan. He also was the first zoo director in the country to release the elephants. I don't know if you remember that story. He released the elephants to an elephant sanctuary, the one in Tennessee that was run by, the name slips my mind, but she was a former trainer for Ringling Brothers. But he let the elephants go, and he caught a lot of shit from the zoo industry because of that. So he definitely made a lot of progress. And I was always challenging him to convert all the refreshment areas to veganism. He never made that switch, but
And he stopped the zoo from replacing those elephants with new elephants?
yes, the Detroit Zoo is still to this day does not have any elephants there, as far as I know, unless something happened the last few years. But he closed down the elephant area at the zoo because, well, elephants walk 20 to 50 miles a day in the wild. There's no circus in the world, and there's no zoo in the world that can accommodate those type of conditions. So I wish he understood why all the animals didn't belong in those cages and those enclosures too. Step in the right direction. I'll have to admit that. I can't say that it was a negative move that he made. It was definitely positive, and he definitely caught a lot of flack for it.
And those, those elephants don't walk because they're into fitness. They walk because something inside of them says walk. And I often think about the incredible things that wild animals do because of the instincts inside of them, and just depriving them of carrying out what everything inside of them is telling them to do is nightmarish enough. Like, even if you
Yeah.
didn't
And they're
get any of the
foraging. I
rest of
mean,
it.
part of it is
Yeah.
foraging. I mean, that's part of their nature. They walk those many miles because they're looking for mango trees, looking for the best patches of grass, looking for the right stuff that they want to eat.
Speaking of purpose, I want to come to a part of the show where we talk about ecology and the ecological disconnect of human beings, and how that ecological disconnect causes us to still get things wrong when we're trying to do the right thing, because we overlook so many things. And it's not necessarily doing the wrong thing, but you know how many examples there are over the years where humans have created a problem and then they try to correct that problem by introducing yet another unnatural catalyst to the situation instead of not doing what the problem was in the first place, and introducing an invasive species and then bringing in another invasive species to fight that species and things like that, or putting methane masks on cattle instead of just getting rid of the dairy industry. All of these sorts of things. But I am going to nitpick a couple of things that you talked about last week, just so we human beings can think deeper about our ecological disconnect. And how about the purpose of a skunk? And as you said, skunks are actually magnificent to watch and very sweet, and not violent and want to escape from you, and they have a purpose. And human beings have decided that their purpose is to eradicate anything that's been slapped underneath the label of a rodent. I don't know what damage those skunks were doing or what that guy's excuse was, or if he just felt that he's supposed to do that
He
because
didn't like
someone
the
told him.
smell. I mean, and there
Oh,
is a skunk smell. In
I
fact, I
think it
smelled
smells
it the
good.
other day. I went out, but like this is their habitat. Part of the things that I said to him too, I said that you're invading their habitat. We've invaded their habitat, and you don't like the fact that they're living here. This is their city. This isn't yours. You're a guest in their home, and now you want to kill them because you don't like the way they smell because they
Am I the only
sprayed
one that thinks they
something.
smell good?
Yeah, some people like the skunk smell, but even if you don't like it, it's nature.
Right.
But we're so,
Imagine.
as you're saying, I didn't mean to interrupt if you're going to say something else, but we're so disconnected from nature that, oh, I don't like the smell in the morning. I opened my window and there was a skunk outside. So,
I
what
mean,
do you mean that this is nature? This is the world that we live in, but we want to live in this artificial world, right? With
the
manicured
arrogance,
lawns
the arrogance
and
of thinking that you can eradicate a species because you're not approving of the smell. All you have to do is flip it around, which of course humans won't play that game because of our superiority complex. And oh, you can't make me think about myself as an animal. We God gave us this planet to be shitty. And but if you were to just play the game briefly and imagine skunks decided they don't like how humans smell, and that's a reason enough to get rid of you, you at least get an inkling of how insane that is to decide that an animal deserves to die because of something as petty as an odor.
we come up with the most insane reasons to harm animals. The skunk smell is one of them. There's a lot of Canada geese in this area right now too, and I was telling Carmen about them, and it still goes on. There are cities that want to kill and eradicate the Canada geese. Why? Because they poop.
Yeah,
The
I know,
things
man.
that we are killing animals for, I mean, first of all, we kill them because we like the way their flesh tastes. Then we kill them because we like to use their skin to make clothing items, right? We're killing them because we want to test a new experimental drug on them. We kill them because we want to cut off their heads and put them on the wall. And now we're killing skunks because we don't like the way they smell. And the Canada geese can't poop. We're killing them for pooping? What? This is what they do. Everybody poops. And how about instead of killing them, you hire somebody to clean up the poop? You can pick it up, get a hose, get a little shovel, whatever it takes. And we do this for our dogs, by the way. People with dogs walk around with little poop bags and actually pick up the poop, but we can't do that for the Canada geese.
You know
It's
how
outrageous, and it's heartbreaking that every day for the last 29 years of my veganism, I found some story where we're killing some creature just because they're irritating us when we are the most irritable species on this planet. We're the most annoying species on this planet. We're the killers. We're we're the ones that stink. We're the ones that are filthy.
I can always take it a little bit darker as humans continue to go down the downward spiral because now dog owners don't even pick up their poop because they aren't even walking their dogs and they aren't even picking up the poop in the backyards that the dogs never leave. I see trucks entering the neighborhoods when I was living in urban sprawl and people, in my opinion, are at their worst. Um, I was like, poop truck. And I was like, I asked the guy, I was like, please don't be what I think you are. And he's like, what do you do? He's like, I come and clean dog poop up in people's yards. I'm like, Jesus Christ, people have that little to do with their dogs that even a stranger has to do this part. And the
We
animal
created
never
a business to clean up dog poop. That's how lazy we are. That is how pathetic humans truly are. That kind of sums it up.
I mean,
Thanks for bringing that. It really sums up how lazy and
it's
pathetic humans are. And when people would tell me over the years that animals are dirty, as I traveled the country on my lecture tour for 12 years and I stopped at all the gas stations and the rest areas because I had to go to the bathroom. So when there was pee all around the urinals, was that from the skunks that
I
snuck
know,
into the
man.
rest areas? Was that the rodents, the mice, who, the squirrels, or that human beings just pissing everywhere? We are the most filthiest and disgusting species I have ever encountered. The Hudson River, when I was in New York City and I was filthy, I'm sorry, was that filthy from the animals that were living in the Hudson River? Or did
Mhm.
we destroy that river with all of our
Mhm.
pollution, all of our chemicals, all of our shit? All we do is make filth. All we do is make more landfills and make more waste, but we want to blame the animals for being dirty. Get out of
Mhm.
here.
I had a conversation with Jack and Leah. By the way, Leah, welcome to the show. I saw you in the comments. I was talking about the fact that human beings don't smell good. And when we
Stink.
go, when, ladies and gentlemen, when you go on a hike in a state park or a national park, when does your nose catch a hint of something unpleasant? When you are approaching the human made outhouse sticking out there for your convenience. Why didn't the entire rest of the hike that had wild animals pooping and shitting in it stink? And you mentioned, and you left out one reason, one more insane reason that humans kill animals, and that's to take the pheromones from the reproductive organs of another species for us to put on ourselves in the form of a perfume. Just
Unbelievable, right? The anal
is it not?
glands of animals.
Is it
These are the
not?
animals that we're always claiming are filthy, but all of a
Right.
sudden we want their
Let me
anal
rub your
gland
vagina
juice
on me.
to put in a perfume so we can spray it all over ourselves.
Make
Unreal.
sure they suffer first. I hear the
Yeah.
pheromones work better if you make the animals suffer extremely before extraction.
Or we're always calling animals ugly and filthy, and then we want to rip their skin off and make a coat out of it. So wait, I thought these animals were ugly and filthy. Now you want to dress yourself in their fur, and all of a sudden you're glamorous.
So, as Tree Spirit Project and others have pointed out, golf courses are one of the, and I was thinking it, one of the great examples of killing geese and other animals because, you know, make those unnatural habitats that for a silly recreation not pristine. But I want to talk about the birds, geese, and agriculture because one of the reasons that geese are landing in places like a golf course is out of desperation because there isn't anywhere to freaking land anymore. And it's not human development, it's not cities, as bad as cities are. The massive amounts of land that have removed landing locations for birds, especially on the Great American Flyway we have here on the West Coast, is agriculture. And no, that is not land where they can land, even though it's not a city, because it's always being chopped up or chopped down or having poison sprayed on it or having people chase off. Or what goes hand in hand a lot of times with agriculture is hunting. So, hey, land here and you'll be shot. Gary, I knew I wouldn't really need to prepare very much and we'd have a conversation, but I do have some other points to get to.
Okay. By the way,
Yeah,
the
please
geese,
respond first.
every time we build a man-made pond and then we get mad that the geese show up, the geese like water. If you don't want the geese showing up, get rid of the water then. And then we're mad because we built something. Hey, and they're flying around. Hey, look at that. There's a body of water. Isn't this great? So we're actually luring them in, and we're mad about the fact that they actually took the lure. And we
Yeah,
want to kill them again, just for being the wrong area. I mean, Carlin's skit on golf courses is fantastic too, in so many ways. But when he talked about, he goes, listen, the fact that you can hit a ball, a little teeny ball, couple hundred yards, and you found the ball, you won. Go home. The game is over. You've won. And let me see all these golfers fuck with a windmill at the mini golf course, because that's a real sport. But the golf courses of the world, when they're creating golf courses, the horror stories that I've heard, they actually go into these beautiful habitats. They send in crews, like dozens of people with machetes, and they're chopping everything down and killing everything in sight. Every
mhm,
animal gets killed as
mhm,
they're chopping down all this natural habitat to make this stupid elitist racist sport that I don't
mhm.
understand why people are so enthralled by.
I
I
don't either.
hate that
I'm not.
sport.
I'm
I
not a
hate
fan.
it. I hate it.
Uh, you talked about laying traps, so to speak, by creating a pond. Again, up in the urban sprawl, where there's just no habitat left, or they're in a rush to destroy the habitat. Everybody's got a yard, and the irrigation is off the charts, and it just rushing through the streets. Everybody's watering and overwatering, but the creeks are all empty. So what do you think happens? What do you think out of pure desperation starts coming into urban space, trying to find some of this water that we're wasting on grass that we don't do anything except water and chop?
And by the way, I feel you're probably the same as me. It is the biggest treat in the world when animals showed up in my backyard. Uh, I had a house for the last 5 years. I've moved recently. Now I'm in an apartment, but that backyard was glorious. There was a groundhog that lived back there. I couldn't wait to see him every morning open up the blinds and peek out the window. Oh my God, the groundhog is there standing on his hind leg. Or all the birds. I had two or three bird baths always. I'd go out and change the water 6, 7, 8 times a day. And oh wow, there's a woodpecker today. Or there's the cardinal, there's the family of blue jays, there's the blackbirds. It was such a treat. One day I was out there, I was positive there was a rat living back there, and he strolled out of a little hiding spot right in front of me. I mean, he walked 1 foot in front of me. He passed me like I wasn't there, and I said to him, "Buddy, you picked the right yard. Please stay here. You're welcome. You're in the vegan yard. Please stay. Don't go to anyone else's yard. You might get hurt." Like it was a rat, and I loved it. Like people would freak out. Oh my God, there's a rat in your yard. When I told some friends, I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You know how special that is to have that animal hang out there and make a home back there?" There's bunny rabbits, man, and they started having babies. I never saw a baby bunny rabbit until a couple years ago. I mean, they're smaller than the palm of your hand. The fact that they were so relaxed and knew that it was the right place to hang out at, it was such a treat. And I don't understand why people get pissed off when animals come to their backyard,
Yeah,
come to the cities.
we switched to thinking it is our duty to make sure that nothing alive is in our yards. And at this point, that includes trees. It's like, oh, freaking trees producing leaves. Let's just get rid of the tree. Speaking of birds, I wanted to try to be a little bit controversial and say, is it possible that you were guilty of speciesism when you decided that you were going to save butterflies from birds? Because aren't those butterflies an important food source for birds?
Well, the birds can find other food sources. Again, I'm always going to be on the side of the victims. I know this is a controversial thing I've brought up over the years, but I'm not a fan of the carnivores. I love them. Don't get me wrong. I don't love them at dinner time. I don't love them when they're out killing. I'm a huge fan of the herbivores. I'm always herbivores first. I'm going to start a group one day, and it's going to be called HO, herbivores only. They're the ones that are peaceful. They're the ones that have learned true morality and true peace. So I was going to protect them. And you know what? I was doing that butterfly rescue for 7+ years, and the birds were still there and still thriving. There's plenty of other sources, but I'll throw something else out there, Sky. I don't know if you know this, but when I saw the birds hunting for worms, I'd also run outside and scatter them. I don't want them killed. No one's dying on my watch. I'm always going to protect the victim, and they can go find seeds and eat whatever else, but they're not eating living beings while I'm around. I'm always going to protect the victim. And
Interesting. So
the
birds,
butterflies are endangered in many ways, and especially when I found out 90% never even make it. They're eating that many. It's crazy. So
well, here's where ecology comes in. This wouldn't be an issue if we hadn't wiped out all the habitat that would make sure that there were plenty of other worms and butterflies, etc., so that the birds could get their fill and you still had enough butterflies to make it past. In fact, when you have smaller, uh, the species is smaller, the number that are produced is usually greater. And this was drilled into my head from the shark ears. A great white shark doesn't reproduce very much, but guess what? If you had as many great white sharks as you had sardines in the ocean, it wouldn't work out very well as a system. So here we have a bunch of flies and mosquitoes, and then work our way up in the human classification and to butterflies, and they're all food for something at some point in life, purposefully, intentionally, as part of a system. But somewhere along the way, we messed it up to where now, as you said, the butterfly's endangered. But now I'm going to sound like a meat eater attacking a vegan for saying, oh, but if you save this, then you're doing that. But what if, in fact, it is negatively affecting the survival of the birds?
well,
What you're
so
doing isn't, but come on, I
right.
just
And listen, I know you're not being difficult, but I want to put this out there that what the carnivores are doing to the herbivores, when people say, "Oh, the bird should eat the caterpillars," um, or the lion should be able to eat zebras, people are saying, "Fuck the caterpillars, fuck the zebras, and save the lions and save the birds." All I've done is flip the script. Say, well, you know what I say then? Fuck the birds, save the caterpillars, and fuck the lion and save the zebra. I want to know why everybody defends the lion's right to eat a zebra and why everybody hates zebras so much. That zebra has a family. That zebra deserves to live out his or her life, her full life, without being a food source for somebody else. So I think people need to re-examine this, especially when we can bring up the dogs and cats that we supposedly love in this part of the world. If a mountain lion or a coyote got in your backyard and started attacking your dog, every single person would beat the mountain lion or the coyote off their dog and try anything not to have that happen. Well, what happened to the natural food system? What happened to, well, the carnivores, survival of the fittest? They get to do what they want to do. What if that animal all of a sudden starts attacking a hiker? What if a bear attacks a hiker? How come we don't turn around and go, well, hey, survival of the fittest. He was just part of the food chain. I think too many people are siding with carnivores and screwing herbivores over, and the herbivores get screwed over as it is. The animals we're eating, the cows, the pigs, the chickens, the turkeys, the goats, and the sheep. Why are the most peaceful beings on this planet always being, relegated to a menu item? Why are people looking at them as if their lives don't matter and siding with the murderers? Again, I love all the creatures and I'll fight for lions to get out of the zoo. I'll fight for minks to get out of the fur farm. But I'm not going to fight for their right when it's dinner time to kill somebody else. I would never let it happen in front of me. There are
Is it
plenty of
because of our?
times that I've stopped carnivores from killing. I remember once I was at a sanctuary and a cat was attacking a butterfly, and I ran over there and screamed at the cat and got the butterfly out of the cat's mouth. And I think a lot of people do that with cats too. If the cat brings home a mouse or something, they're screaming, yell at the cat, drop him, drop him. Oh, well, why can't the cat all of a sudden eat the mouse? We're such hypocrites when it comes to carnivores and herbivores. We really are. And we would never accept that if humans were the victims too.
And it's actually a fantasy to think that the birds are the problem with the butterfly reproduction. Again, my time in urban
Yeah.
sprawl has scarred me, but nothing has an opportunity to start over anymore because of this human dedication of just scraping the ground clean between leaf blowers and deathscaping, where nothing's allowed to live in between the non-native plants that are for some reason used by landscaping companies. But the leaf blowers are around the clock. The chopping up of branches, the spraying of poison. I don't know how anything manages to lay eggs or survive to become a butterfly. so I can, if let's just say Gary's saving these butterflies from humans, and it's much
That's
easier
fine too.
to
No, that's fine too.
digest.
And listen, and I do love the birds. The birds brought me a immense joy, and that's not why they're here, but that's what I would just
Mhm.
sit at the window all day long and watch the birds at the bird bath. They love it. And I love how sometimes the 15 of them would line up around the bird bath, and one at a time they'd go in, take the turn, next one would go in. But there was a mulberry tree out there when I bought the house. The guy selling me the house said I should cut down this tree. Was growing in the telephone lines, another unnatural thing we've done all across the world. And I said, well, I can't cut that tree down. Are you kidding me? Look how big that mulberry tree is. You know how many birds are living in that tree? No, there was
Mhm.
nothing that nobody could pay me enough money to damage this tree and take this tree down because of the tree was beautiful too, and because all the critters that lived in that tree. And I was watching squirrels running up and down the tree. I don't understand, as you brought up for this section of the discussion, how we became so disconnected from nature that we don't see the beauty in animals and we don't see the beauty in trees and the woods and the forest and all this stuff, and we live in these manicured worlds, right? These perfectly manicured lawns, and we poison it, right? What is with the deal with the fertilizers? I
It's all
never I never put one drop of chemical on the lawn of the house that I just
right.
had, and my lawn was prettier than everyone else's lawn. All it takes is some love. What do you mean? Like this, I don't understand
And
that our addiction to chemicals, just
and these
poisoning the
these
whole entire earth. And where do you think those chemicals end up? So they
right.
just dissipate? They end up in the drinking water at some point.
And as they're going through our drinking water, they're making their ways out to the ocean, and creating dead zones. So you can't disconnect the ocean
Yeah,
from the land. Uh, a couple of people wrote some comments that were sort of in line with what I was thinking, or going to ask you when we were talking about the herbivores and the carnivores, and we harvest the herbivores and not the carnivores. You almost answered it yourself because the herbivores are so peaceful in some ways. Is it just an easier victim for us to brutalize, to bully?
sure.
But before you answer the whole thing, a couple of other thoughts. Is it because we want to fantasize that we're one of the carnivores, that they're part of our special club? Also, how much of it has to do with the fact that, again, naturally, there are fewer carnivores because they're taking out herbivores and lowering their populations. And therefore, raising herbivores for food might make more sense than, oh, well, I guess feeding them grass and grain is easier than trying to constantly feed a lion flesh, too. That probably wouldn't work out if you were raising lions for meat.
That's also something that's wrong with the zoo, by the way, when they have all these carnivorous animals in captivity. They're murdering more cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys to feed not only human beings, but now we're killing these animals to feed the lions, the tigers, and
Yep.
the hyenas that are locked up in the animal prisons.
Yep.
It never ends, and their torment never ends. And yes, it is easier to work with them. I used to challenge students when we talked about vivisection. I'd ask them, you know why bunny rabbits and mice are the popular animal to be used in vivisection experiments? It's not because they're similar to human beings. Are you kidding me? There is no extrapolative coefficient to make an experiment relevant from a mouse or a bunny rabbit to a human being. It's because they're easy to work with. You can do whatever you want to these creatures. Why don't they use lions in these medical experiments? Why don't they use, ravenous pit bulls in these experiments? And I'm not trying to dog out pit bulls. I love pit bulls, sweetest animals ever. But why don't you rile up a pit bull that was brought home from a fighting ring and use them in experiments? Kind of hard to work with these creatures, but it's easy to work with a bunny rabbit. It's easy to work with a mouse. And these animals have suffered enough and they've been brutalized enough, which is why I'm always defending them even more than the carnivore animals. And again, I might be, well, Vegan Gains is down with me. There's a couple other people, but I started in 2014 during my speech that year. I opened up my speeches by condemning the carnivore animals. I believe I was probably one of the first people in the entire movement to do this. And I was showing a lion chasing down a zebra, and the zebra put a move on the lion as he was running away. And why was he running away? He doesn't want to die. He doesn't want to be murdered. And you got all these humans out there going, well, he's food. Lion's got to eat. He doesn't want to die. He's running away. And ends up kicking the lion in the face and gets away. And I told the crowd, look, he didn't want to die. He got away. And some people be like, oh, it's too bad for the lion. Like, oh my God, it's people. But we love to fantasize that we're carnivores, which is why it's kind of hard to watch nature shows these days. Have you noticed this, Sky? When I was a kid, I used to love watching National Geographic. I used to love watching these shows. And then I started to become more aware. Blinders came off, and I said, this is just violent porn. All we
Mm.
do is show carnivores killing other animals. And then we fantasize, well, this is why we get to eat cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys. And by the way, even as I bring this up, that's not all these animals do. How come all these shows are just about dinner time with these animals? They almost never show anything else about lions and tigers and hyenas. Just when they go out and kill, as if that's their whole day. There's 24 hours in a day. They might
Hmm.
spend 10 minutes going out and killing somebody. What about the other 23 plus hours?
Hmm.
But it's just, I believe it's used in a way to justify the violent behavior that humans are engaging in every single moment of every day, especially the violent things we do to cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys.
When people admit to being turned on by watching that violence, I mean, obviously it works because that's what they keep showing. People
Mhm.
must be tuning in for it. I feel like human beings will actually use that as an excuse to say, see, that's our nature. That proves that we're carnivores. Any witty comeback for that one?
I had a section of my speech proving that the human body is completely herbivorous. I mean, the fact that we
Right.
chewing,
Right.
our jaw goes from side to side. That's an herbivore movement. The jaws of carnivores only go up and down. They rip and swallow. We have these flat teeth. People love to always bring up, oh, these canines. Well, first of all, hippos have the biggest canines in the world, and they're straight up vegan, 100% vegans. So it's not like canines aren't exclusive to the carnivorous creatures. Herbivores have canines as well. But I used to show a photograph when they would ask this question during Q&A. I would put it up on the screen. It was a picture of a lion's mouth and a human's mouth. And if you've never seen it side by side juxtaposed, look it up online. It's hysterical. They would even start laughing. I said, "Excuse me. So, what are the similarities you guys are talking about?
Right.
Is the fangs are out of a lion's mouth, all these pointed teeth? There is nothing carnivorous about us." And there was also that famous section where, and I didn't come up with this. I want to give full credit to the Diamonds who came up with this. But put a 2-year-old child in a crib with a bunny rabbit and an apple, and if the child eats the bunny rabbit and plays with the apple, I used to say, I'll buy you a new car with leather
Right.
seats too. Like that, we have no carnivorous instincts. This is why when we're young, we scream and cry if somebody's mean to an animal in front of us.
Right.
And even
Right.
if we're scared of the animal, we still don't want anybody to harm the animal. We just want to be moved away from the animal. I mean, I remember having a spider fear just about my whole life. I never want anyone to kill the spider. I'm just like, move the spider or move me away from the spider. Don't hurt that animal. And then you think about all the children's movies, all the Disney movies. It's all around the animals, and we have stuffed animals that we give kids. We are so connected. We are herbivores. We just want to live peacefully amongst the animals, and then this carnivorous nonsense is just, hammered into our heads that, hey, you're supposed to eat meat, you're supposed to eat cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys, and all of a sudden we become disconnected. But this whole make believe thing with carnivores, come on, man. I mean, this is it's just such nonsense. I don't even know where to begin.
And of course, you're not knocking carnivores for doing what carnivores do in the wild.
Not my thing. And I used and when I brought up what carnivores are doing and how I don't like it, I would also explain, and let me explain for the listeners out there too. Listen, I don't speak lion. I'm concerned about human beings. I speak human beings. I speak human languages. I'm concerned about what my species does. My species claims to know right from wrong. My species claims that they're created by God in the image of God and all this nonsense. So I'm focusing on what humans are doing to animals. So when humans start living vegan, I'll fly the jungles of Tanzania and try to convince lions not to eat zebras. But it's not my concern right now. I'm just pointing out right from wrong whenever I see it. I'm pointing out victims and victimizers. And and again, and it does irritate me though when everybody says fuck the zebra, the lion can do what he wants. I'm just flipping the script. How about fuck the lion and save the zebra?
Well, I think there
The
was a
same thing. Everyone's doing it the other way. I think my way's better because I'm saving a victim. I'm defending a victim. But I'm not going to the jungles of Tanzania anytime soon.
I think maybe a important point to pull from there was when you mentioned that these nature shows make it seem like the only thing that a tiger does is kill, and they edit out the in betweens. And like you may not enjoy watching the animal violence, wildlife porn that focuses on the killing part, but you do have a great point that could be brainwashing humans into thinking that that is what nature is. And yeah, a lot of people just assume, oh shit, I ran into a wild animal, I'm fucked. And I think a pretty good part of that could be because of what you just described. It's like, oh wow, the only thing that animals do is hunt and kill, and no, they
Small
need to.
portion of their day. And how about the fact that we now have drones flying in so many places? You can go on YouTube and there's drones over the shores of the oceans, and every time they're flying above there, there's sharks within 20 feet of all the surfers and all the swimmers, and they're not doing anything but just hanging
Right.
out,
I'm
looking and
very
seeing
aware.
what's going on, because that's what animals are doing most of the time, just investigating, just hanging out. What about all the
I'm
playtime that they're never really showing on these nature shows either? They play a lot too, but all they want to show us is the killing. Kill, kill, kill. And you're right, it's conditioning. It makes us think that everything we do with animals, which is killing them, is okay and justified. because that's what lions do. That's what, that's what hyenas do.
Hoppy Hop and some others. I'm sorry I've missed some of your comments. I do want to include you, but I'll start with this one because I agree. I think you might be making a slightly different point than I'm going to make, but it's a great kickoff talking about prey animals of lions have it much better than livestock animals. And this person says one reason is because, the wild prey animals escape quite a bit of the time. I go back to when does suffering begin? Because a livestock animal's entire life sucks. At least a wild animal is living right up until it's faced with the fight against becoming food. And if you do become food, again, you died living. Livestock never really lived.
Yeah. Listen, the moment these animals are born, cows, pigs, chickens, and turkeys, somebody has already planned the day of their execution. The suffering is innate, and it's completely different from what the zebras and what the antelope go through. And just to make a great point, I always forget to bring this up, and I'm not going to do it now. If anybody listening, or Sky, if you haven't seen this, go on YouTube and look up buffalo and lions in Kruger Park. Have you ever seen this video? Somebody happened to be there as this pride of lions came up on a small herd of buffalo, and they attacked the young buffalo and grabbed him, and the other buffalo, about 10 or 15, ran away. And you're watching this going, no, why are you running away? And it was such a crazy scene because as the lions were fighting over this buffalo, this young buffalo, and by the way, great ending, the buffalo did not die. Somehow they rolled over into the water. And as they pulled the buffalo out of the water, an alligator comes up and grabs one side of the buffalo. Now the alligator and and the lion are having a tug of war with this young buffalo. The lions end up winning. They tug the buffalo onto the shore, and all of a sudden, in the background, in the distance, here comes the cavalry. Here comes not 100, not 200, not 300, maybe 4, 5, 600 buffalo come around the bend. And you're going, oh my God, yes. And this is what I mean when I say everybody condemns herbivores to death when they don't want to die. And humans are too stupid to speak animal languages, me included. Somehow those buffalo ran and got the rest of the buffalo and said, quick, the lion's got one of our babies. You got to come back. We can't beat them on our own. So hundreds of buffalo come around and they surround the pride of lions now. And now, for a moment, you feel a little sorry for the lions as the alpha buffalo steps up to the lion and takes his horns and his head and flicks them 12 feet into the air. And the lions disperse, and somehow this baby buffalo stands up and goes back to the herd. But it's a perfect example about what I am trying to tell everybody about herbivores not wanting to be on the menu. That's not why they think they're here. Humans
Right.
came up with this cute notion that, oh, there's this, chain of life, the food circle, the food chain, circle of life. And I think it's some made up bullshit, to be honest with you, because I don't think anybody wants to be a victim. But in order to justify our behavior, we want to justify lions' behavior. And just so people know, I used to show videos too of carnivores not killing.
Hmm.
There was, in fact, some of it was what was really weird because they would kill and then they'd all of a sudden say, I used to show a jaguar. You can look this up on YouTube. A jaguar kills a mother baboon and doesn't realize there's a teeny baby baboon hanging on the back of the mother.
Oh.
And as he drags the dead mother up to a tree, he notices the baby, and all of a sudden, the jaguar feels some empathy. He starts licking, and not licking to taste, not licking to kill. He protects the baby because what kind of psycho really wants to harm a baboon as small as the palm of your hand? And I had several videos where I would show carnivore animals not killing herbivores. There's ones I used to show with lions actually, walking around with baby deer after they killed the mama deer, and they were protecting the baby deer. I think animals have more knowledge and more brain power than we give them credit for. I think we claim too many times that everything's on instinct. I
Hmm.
think they have the capability of knowing right from wrong, of being moral agents. That's something else that I'm a little ticked off with about the animal rights movement. We claim that animals are moral patients and humans are moral agents. First of all, humans moral agents? Huh, since when? Are you kidding me? Maybe in theory, certainly not in practice, but I'll tell you who's a moral agent: herbivores. And I'm seeing carnivores, acting like moral agents and knowing right from wrong. There's a famous story of Tyke the lion, a lion that was in Hollywood in the 50s who was a vegetarian. He refused to eat meat, and they had to feed him soy meat. And if you start looking and going down that rabbit hole online, you will find dozens and hundreds of stories of carnivores not wanting to eat flesh anymore. And of course, if dare I bring up the biblical side of this, for all biblical people, religious people, Isaiah 11:7 says the wolf will live with the lamb, the cow will feed with the bear. So if you're a religious person, one day it's not going to be killing. And the Garden of Eden was a vegan haven where there was no killing going on. I do think animals fell at some point, just like humans fell from the natural world. Maybe it was the Ice Age, if we go back to the creation theory. I'm sorry, the evolution theory, and maybe the ice age messed everybody up. Maybe when all vegetation was wiped out, beings started eating each other. Humans started eating animals. So animals started eating other animals. I don't know when it happened, but humans have definitely strayed from the path of morality, and the carnivore animals have also strayed too.
So, would that mean that you think that carnivores developed? Because when you show a human being and you use our physical attributes as evidence that we are not carnivores, because our teeth don't look like carnivores and our digestive system isn't designed the way a carnivorous system is, well, that's also evidence that carnivores are supposed to eat what they eat. So, are you saying that carnivores will keep these teeth and just stop eating other animals, or that they developed these, that carnivores sort of evolved at some and entered into a fully peaceful system where no one was being consumed?
I think what you just said. I think they evolved and developed their body in order to adapt to the flesh that they were eating, and which means that it's completely possible that once they stop, that they'll be just fine too. They're either going to evolve back to what they used to be, or they'll be able to adapt. And let's face it, as vegans, we're always telling everybody you get every nutrient you need from the plant kingdom. Well, if that's true, and it is, well, the carnivores can get everything they need from the plant kingdom as well, every single thing they need. Which is why there's how many hundreds of thousands of vegans around the world have vegan dogs and vegan cats who are carnivorous creatures and doing just fine. I know my last three dogs lived as vegans as well. It's completely feasible to get what you need. And Tyke the Lion was a great. I actually have a section on my website about him. But you can look up his story online. It was, everybody freaked out that he was going to die. In fact, when the guy rescued him as a young cub, the veterinarian said you have to get some blood in with this soy meat you're giving him. And every time they put blood, Tyke would literally go like this and turn his head. They put one drop of blood for their last attempt, just one drop. Tyke wouldn't touch it. You give him a bowl of soy meat, and he wanted to eat up. And this guy kept him on this nice farm where he was hanging out with the goats and the lamb, and he wasn't attacking them. Again, I think animals can be moral creatures, and I want to hold them accountable too.
Hmm.
Again, not my main thing. Don't misconstrue. I'm not going out to lecture to the lions. I'm lecturing to human beings first. But these are things that I think about when the day is done and I'm done scolding human beings. I would love to be able to one day maybe finally get to the carnivores too and see them, have a moral awakening. But I'll say this, just like what the buffalo did to those lions at Kruger Park, the herbivores are going to have to fight back on their own. This is something they're going to have to do to let the carnivores know that it's not okay. And there's another famous one too. I used to show with a hippo was hanging out in a river and an alligator attacks a baby impala that was crossing, and the hippo got pissed off. And I empathize with the hippo because imagine being a vegan, not killing anybody, hanging out, but every day you got to watch these carnivores rip these animals into pieces. He goes after the alligator. And just so everybody knows, the king of the jungle is not a lion. It's a hippo. Nobody fucks with a hippo. This hippo ran after the alligator. The alligator, like the pussy that he is, runs away because all of a sudden somebody bigger's coming after him. He get this, the hippo pushes
You really
the
do don't.
baby.
You really do hate carnivores, don't you?
Well, listen, I hate that they're bullies. I don't like bullies. I don't like bullies. And then listen, I'd love to hang out with an alligator. I'd love to pet an alligator. I just don't want to pet an alligator at dinner time. So this hippo pushes the baby impala on the shore. And get this, this shows me how much brain power these animals have. He tries to give the baby impala mouth to mouth resuscitation.
No.
I'm not making this up. You go look at this online. As gently as you can imagine, a huge hippo opens his mouth, gently puts the baby's mouth in his mouth, gently closes down for a couple of seconds, opens up, takes the head out, nudges him. You can see the baby's dying. This doesn't have a good ending. He does it a second time so you don't think, oh, it was an accident. He does it again, puts the baby's head in his mouth, breathes, takes the head out. Unfortunately, the baby dies. But think about this. I don't know. Like at first, I was shocked too. But then I thought about it. Why is this so surprising? This is how little we think of animals. That hippo knew that that baby was dying, that he needed oxygen. He needed air. He might have not known the name was oxygen, but he needed air. How can I get him some air? Well, I'll breathe into his mouth. And keep in mind, this hippo never went to the local fire department for a CPR class. He knew this on his own. When humans do this, we have to be taught how to give
Yeah.
CPR,
I
taught
got to
how
look
to
at
give
that.
mouth to mouth resuscitation. We have to learn everything. This hippo knew it naturally.
Now, I almost asked this out loud earlier, but so you've put birds in the carnivore category.
Some birds are, I mean, plenty of birds
Of course,
aren't.
there.
But there are, there are worm eaters out there, of course, and there
So
are some that
I'll
eat other
let you.
small birds too. But obviously, in
I'll let
fact,
you
one
address.
day here, the blue jays, I believe, do eat worms, but the hawks eat the blue jays, and I feel sorry even for a carnivore that gets attacked. I saw a hawk grab a blue jay one day and fly by my house. I'm like, oh my god, the fear and the horror this Blue Jay must be going through as he was trapped in his talons. I'm always
Yeah.
empathizing with a victim.
Well, an honest doubter, I think this is a fair question. Are birds bullies to mosquitoes then?
I'm sorry, are bullies to mosquitoes? That's interesting. So, wait, do all birds eat insects? So I don't know this.
I am guessing so. Just different levels per species, but
Okay, I'm
that's
not
an
sure.
awful lot of species. There's so many bird species. To
Right.
answer that blanket would be
So
stupid.
now I have to bring up another subsection to my argument. So over the years, I have talked about five worthless creatures on this planet:
No, it's not. Don't say
flies,
mosquito. It's not true.
mosquitoes,
No, it's not
ticks,
true.
fleas, and humans. But I want to be fair now. So over the years, I found out that mosquitoes and flies are pollinators. They
Yeah.
actually serve an amazing purpose. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They
Mhm.
pollinate. So I took them off the list. Now you've probably heard about that. There's this tick. I forget the tick's name, but there's a tick in America that's biting people, and people are becoming allergic to meat. I think they say
Oh, yeah, you mentioned
450,000
that.
people are now allergic to meat from this tick bite. So now I'm thinking, wow, ticks are doing something pretty valuable right now. They're helping the cows and the pigs and the chickens and the turkeys. So I've taken them off the list too. Now I'm down to fleas and humans. I can't find a purpose for these two beings. All they do is attack. All they do is annoy somebody else. Um,
Are you telling me that you've put considerable research into what the purpose of a flea is and you couldn't find any?
I can't find it. You got something?
I see. I always default because you said it earlier, and we both, I think, agree. We don't give animals enough credit, and usually us devaluing them just means we haven't found what their value is. So, without me even looking up what a flea does, if humans didn't invent it, if humans didn't introduce it to the system, it has a purpose. That's
I
my.
don't. I don't know
That's
what the
where I
purpose is
start.
besides attacking, though. What's the purpose?
I can't answer. I'm just saying
Enlighten me, honestly. I'm not being sarcastic. I
where
can't
I
find.
start
I can't find what they do. That's
where I
positive.
start is assuming that the human is wrong, and then working my way up in the research ladder. But so I can't answer besides that.
Okay.
But I've got
Maybe
to get
maybe
to.
a listener could call in and let us know.
Yes, please. Yes. I've got to acknowledge Jack because he actually gave a super chat to get me to address something he's mentioned several times. He wants to know the cost of the vegan shark trip, and I had the cost all mapped out for going to Guadalupe. I don't know about going to Hawaii. Some trips include the cost of transportation and housing in addition to the other things. But since you've shown this much interest and a few other people have shown interest in the chats, I will start looking into it. I'm sad that I can't take you to Guadalupe because that's a great trip. And the worst part of that trip was in the middle of it all, people are just eating meat like a mother. I mean, all day long. um, anyway, thank you, Jack, for your interest in that, and I will follow up on it. And Corinne and the other people who have expressed some interest in the comments.
And I just want to throw this out there as I'm really harsh on carnivores. I want to swim with the sharks. They're carnivores. I want to hang out with them. I do want to hang out with these animals. Just don't want to hang out with them when it's dinner time.
Well,
But
you'll
that's
like.
only 10 minutes of the day that I have to be concerned about. The rest, I'm probably fine.
Here's something you'll appreciate then. All vegans listening. Yes, I'm talking about sharks, but this is actually a vegan topic within the shark world. Is a lot of times, in order for the humans to see sharks, you have to trick the sharks into showing up because they don't want anything to do with us. Well, how do you trick a shark into showing up? The scent of food, which means that you're exploiting another animal in order, or you're at least using the carcasses that fishermen have used. So you'd almost have to say that it's not a vegan trip. Here's the
Well, I don't
beauty.
want that. Hold on. I don't want that. I don't want the trip to surround to have dead animals thrown in the
I get
water.
it.
I'm talking about we're out there kayaking and we jump in and
This is what
they
I'm getting
know,
to.
hey, this is where a bunch of tiger sharks always hang out. Let's go hang out with the tiger sharks and see if they want to hang out with
This
us.
is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
This is a
Okay.
natural aggregation site where the
Yeah.
vegan ecotourism people go to. It is not a baited dive. It is a natural aggregation. So we are not using the body parts of other animals in order to see the sharks.
I would never take part in that. And I would never go to places where they have the dolphins or the manta rays enclosed and you get to swim
Oh,
with them. I would love to be just lucky enough to have a manta ray. In fact, I got a quick story. This is way before veganism. I'm on my spring break. I'm 18. Actually, no, it was the year after spring break. I was in the Bahamas. I'm walking along the shore and I thought it was a piece of cardboard laying there. And I went to pick it up. I was gonna, put it in the trash, and it was a manta ray.
hmm.
And he kind of fluttered as I went to reach for him, and then swam away. And I was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god, that was a manta ray. He came up to see me." And I hear they're super sweet beings, by the way. So as I look back at this, I'm like, oh, he came up to actually check me out, and I had to freak. I kind of screamed as he fluttered away. "Ah!" But what a moment that could have been, that I could have pet a wild manta ray that decided he wanted to come up and see who I was.
Yep.
That's the type of trip I want to go on, though. I want them to come up to us.
Yeah, for sure. I understand. I wanted to get to talking about animal sanctuaries, but we might save it for another one if you want to come back, or do you want to knock it all out
Sure.
today?
No, we would definitely come back.
All right. Main topic of today we didn't get to, and I had a feeling we wouldn't because we had plenty of interesting stuff to talk about. Anyway, we will get to ecology and animal sanctuaries in a future episode. And speaking of sanctuaries, let me throw that banner up there again. Supporting Sasha Farms. Everyone, as a thank you, if you want to show your appreciation to Gary for giving us time today, he accepts that gratitude in the form of you giving to Sasha Farms. So here's the link. Go and donate directly at that link.
Please do whatever you can to help them out. And I don't receive any compensation. The money goes to the animals. Shara Jones is the animal care manager. She does receive a salary. There's a couple volunteers that get some payment, but everything else goes right to the animals. Money is well spent, and money is desperately needed.
Thank you for the kind words there, Honest Downer, and thank you for your honest questions and for posing some things at us. Yeah, the wild orca thing. Yeah, orcas, amongst other things, could kill humans anytime. They've only done it in captivity after we've driven them insane. And those
I
of
was
you
just
who are
watching
finding
that. I was just watching one of the orcas the other day on YouTube. Where remember when the mama swam up to there was a person swimming near the beach, and there was a drone, and it caught this orca came right up, touched the swimmer's feet, brought the babies. There were two babies that came to check them out. I could only imagine what she was teaching the babies. Maybe something like, "Well, these are really evil creatures, but." Don't attack them because they might come out and destroy all of us or something. Who knows what the mama was teaching them, but non-aggressive always. And whales in general have never, I don't believe I've ever attacked a human being nor killed a human being, except in captivity.
Speaking of, I do have a live shark show on Thursdays, but it's on a separate shark channel. And if people want to come to that, and of course, tomorrow at 9 a.m., Jack and I will be back. So I hope to see everyone tomorrow morning. Gary, let's schedule
Let's make this a
follow-up.
bi-monthly thing. I enjoy this, man. We can shoot the shit and talk about a lot of stuff. Crazy stuff.
Fantastic. Appreciate it, man. And I'll open every show with Zeppelin. How's that for an agreement?
That'd be awesome, man. You can also
All
throw
right.
some Judas Priest in there.
Okay. All right. Now I need to go edit that out of the beginning before it gets banned from YouTube. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Gary.
All right.